Hello, everyone, and welcome to ClearTalk. We are here to watch. We're going to start first off with the old administration. I'm going to do a couple of videos about that. First off is going to be here with Joe Biden's farewell address. I've only seen a couple of snippets of it. I haven't seen the whole entire speech yet. It looks like to be around maybe 25 minutes long. So we're gonna watch through it. I'll comment on certain things. I'm pretty sure I'll have something to say about some things in it. Um, but we're gonna go through this and comment about it, give our opinion about it, and that's gonna be the first thing. And then we've got Blinken. He's given also some of his last like press conferences and stuff. He gave his last press conference. I think it was like either yesterday or the day before, and had some protesting happening out of journalists that were there. That was very interesting. And I want to do a video on that as well. So that's what's going to happen here in the next couple of videos, and then we'll lead into things going on with the new administration going out and whatnot. It's just kind of the flow I'm going to do today with videos. We're going to start with the old, go with the new. So yeah, stick around. There'll be some videos today coming out. All right. So first off, like I said, check out my other or I haven't said it yet, but check out my other channels and stuff if you like. JMD Drummer, JMDPLAY is my drum channel there. It's the main one, but game channel there as well. If you're interested in some gaming and stuff like that, I do there. Of course, this is ClearTalk. We have the Discord there if you'd like to join, talk with me or talk with other people on there, whatnot. Give ideas for different stuff for across all the channels. They're all there. In that Discord, I have sections for each channel there, so you can check that out and give your opinions and thoughts and interact on any of that there. And then if you do want to do a one-time donation, that's a QR code there, or you can go to JMD Nation Patreon, $3 a month for all of them there. JMD has a couple of upper tiers, but the minimals on those are $3. If you're interested in giving some types of support for doing the channels and the content and whatnot, very much appreciated. If not, that's cool too. Any support you give is much appreciated, so thank you very much. All right, so we're going to swap over here. All right, like I said, we have the Biden address, farewell address. Like I said, about 25 minutes long, so this could be a little bit of a long video. Apologize for that up front. But we're going to go through it. I could probably do a highlight thing, but I don't want to just pinpoint to specific little things. I want to be able to hear him in full and comment on certain things that he may say if he can get it out, and just go about it as a full speech and my whole opinions. I'll give, I'm sure, comments about specific things, but then I also want to comment about the whole speech in general, and where I think it may, I guess, leave him going out as a president. So, anyways, all right, headphones. I'll swap over here. Get full screen. All right, here we are. Biden's farewell address. Let's go.
My fellow Americans, I'm speaking to you tonight from the Oval Office.
No shit.
Before I begin, let me speak to important news from earlier today. After 8 months of nonstop negotiation, by my administration, a ceasefire and a hostage deal has been reached by Israel and Hamas, the elements of which I laid out in great detail in May of this year.
We're about to comment on this. I'm about to stop.
This plan was developed and negotiated by my team and will be largely implemented by the incoming administration. That's why I told my team to keep the incoming administration fully informed, because that's how it should be, working together as Americans. This will be my final address to you from the American people from the Oval Office, from this desk as president. And I've been thinking a lot about who we are.
Okay, so right off the bat, him giving that bit of information, it as we have heard and known, I'm going to do a video on this specifically, kind of going over all the details and stuff like that. But you have him, of course, in this giving, taking credit for this. You have Trump also taking credit for it, because what he fails to state here is that apparently Trump's one of Trump's guys, internet, foreign international guys, whatever, if that's going to be in his administration, was also in these talks, and uh, in one way, form, or fashion, which we'll speculate and talk about in another video, helped push for this ceasefire. And so you have both of them. There was a lot of people involved. So, like I said, he's trying to take credit as an outgoing president for getting something done that we've been waiting. A lot of America has been waiting for happening. Along with also an incoming president taking the credit, because he wants the credit for him coming in for taking care of something which he has stated previously that he wanted taken care of before he even get into office. And we'll go over all the details on that and whatnot. But immediately, like I said, you've got him talking about this. My only problem, well, not my only problem, but my problem is that also, according to what we've understand, that this is an agreement. This is the same basic agreement that they had back in May that Biden has refused to get established and accomplished since May. So, I don't know why this administration is even that concerned or trying to take credit for this, outside of the fact just like, hey, we finally did get it done or something. But it really, in my opinion, just makes you look more incompetent that it took you this damn long to get something that was way back in May to get agreed upon, when it should and could have been agreed upon back in May, if you would have been willing to do what you needed to do to get it done. Which clearly he, and along with Blinken and the other morons, did not get done. So, fuck him on that. So, anyways, we're going to continue.
And maybe more importantly, who we should be. Long ago in New York Harbor, an iron worker installed beam after beam, day after day. He was joined by steel workers, stonemasons, engineers. They built not just a single structure, but a beacon of freedom. The very idea of America was so big, we felt the entire world needed to see.
And also, real quick, just a disclaimer on that whole thing. I don't get it. I refuse to give either one of them credit. All right, and like I said, I will have a video on that. But that's just to be clear. I don't give either one of them credit. All right, we're going to go on from that. I digress.
The Statue of Liberty, a gift from France after our Civil War. Like the very idea of America, it was built not by one person, but by many people, from every background and from around the world. Like America, the Statue of Liberty is not standing still. Her foot literally steps forward atop a broken chain of human bondage. She's on the march, and she literally moves. She was built to sway back and forth to withstand the fury of stormy weather, to stand the test of time because storms are always coming. She sways a few inches, but she never falls into the current below. An engineering marvel. The Statue of Liberty is also an enduring symbol of the soul of our nation.
I don't know why, but I kind of didn't know that. That seems a little weird, I guess. I should know that, I suppose. If it's true, I guess. I wouldn't see why he would say it and not be true, but whatever. That just seems like... But that certainly, I guess, is a engineering marvel, I guess. Whatever. All right. Yeah, that's cool. I didn't really know that.
A soul shaped by forces that bring us together and by forces that pull us apart. And yet through good times and tough times, we've withstood it all. A nation of pioneers and explorers, of dreamers and doers, of ancestors native to this land, of ancestors who came by force, a nation of immigrants who came to build a better life, a nation holding the torch of the most powerful idea ever in the history of the world, that all of us are created equal, that all of us deserve to be treated with dignity, justice, and fairness, that democracy must defend and be defined and be imposed.
I don't know if I need to look this up, but I find this little bracelet here interesting. I don't know that I've ever noticed that on his arm. He's probably had it on there, maybe, or maybe that's something recent, of meaning of something recent. But that's interesting. I'm pretty sure they gave him this pin here as a fidgeting toy for him to mess with and give him something to touch, and just I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there.
Moved in every way possible. Our rights, our freedoms, our dreams. But we know the idea of America, our institution, our people, our values that uphold it
there he
are
goes.
Constantly being tested. Ongoing debates about power and the exercise of power. But whether we lead by the example of our power or the power of our example. Whether we show the courage to stand up to the abuse of power or we yield to it. After 50 years at the center of all of this, I know that believing in the idea of America means respecting the institutions that govern a free society, the presidency, the Congress, the courts, a free and independent press, institutions that are rooted.
Like they've been respecting the UN and the ICC and ICJ.
They just might not reflect the timeless words, but they echo the words of the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident. Rooted in the timeless words of the Constitution, we the people. Our system of separation of powers, checks and balances. It may not be perfect, but it's maintained our democracy for nearly 250 years. Longer than any other nation in history that's ever tried such a bold experiment. In the past 4 years, our democracy has held strong. And every day I've kept my commitment to be president for all Americans through one of the toughest periods in our nation's history. I've had a great partner in Vice President Kamala Harris. It's been the honor of my life to see the resilience of essential workers getting us through a once-in-a-century pandemic. The heroism of service members and first responders keeping us safe. The determination of advocates standing up for our rights and our freedoms instead of losing their jobs to an economic crisis that we inherited. Millions of Americans now have the dignity of work. Millions of entrepreneurs and companies creating new businesses and industries, hiring American workers, using American products. And together, we've launched a new era of American possibilities. One of the greatest modernizations of infrastructure in our entire history, from new roads, bridges, clean water, affordable high-speed internet for every American. We invented the semiconductor, smaller than the tip of my little finger, and now is bringing those chip factories and those jobs back to America where they belong, creating thousands of jobs. Finally, giving Medicare the power to negotiate lower prescription drug prices for millions of seniors. And finally, doing something to protect our children and our families by passing the most significant gun safety law in 30 years and bringing violent crime to a 50-year low. Meeting our sacred obligation to over 1 million veterans so far who are exposed to toxic materials, and to their families, providing medical care and education benefits and more for their families. You know, it will take time to feel the full impact of all we've done together. But the seeds are planted, and they'll grow and they'll bloom for decades to come. At home, we've created nearly 17 million new jobs, more than any other single administration, a single term. More people have health care than ever before. And overseas, we've strengthened NATO. Ukraine is still free. And we pulled ahead of our competition with China. And so much more. I'm so proud of how much we've accomplished together for the American people. And I wish the incoming administration success, because I want America to succeed. That's why I've held my duty to ensure a peaceful and orderly transition of power, to ensure we lead by the power of our example. I have no doubt that America is in a position to continue to succeed. That's why my farewell address tonight, I want to warn the country of some things that give me great concern. This is a dangerous and that's a dangerous concentration of power.
Okay, so there he kind of did a listing out of accomplishments, although kind of vague. He didn't go into any kind of specifics, really. I mean, he could have. I probably would have been good to really specify some of that. But, okay. So, on the domestic thing, for him as a president, and I have talked about this before, there is plenty of credit to be given to him domestically when it comes to the work that they've done on the economy with our infrastructures, and then the health stuff with the Medicare stuff or whatnot, in the pricing. Although it's just a baby step in the direction that we need to go. And that's the thing. Everything that they have did and accomplished were baby steps. Not near about as far as it needed to be or needed to go. But that's kind of the problem with the Democratic Party and their strategy for governing. It's just little bitty adjustments here and there to try to kind of waver your frustrations and stuff to keep you moving along, but not really making substantial change. That's the biggest critique of the Democratic Party. They're still too involved with corporate rule to the point that they don't allow themselves to fully engage in changing things for the American people. Now, for me personally, I don't think they're quite as engaged in the corporate world as the Republicans, but nevertheless, they're engaged enough, arguably not too far from the Republicans, to the point that it prevents them from doing the substantial change that most of us would like to see. And that's the problem. So while he will probably go down, if you can get past the bad things that I'm pretty sure I'm going to talk about in this video, if you get past all that, which is very hard to do and arguably impossible to do, but if you're looking at it just from a domestic standpoint, from American first standpoint, he will be considered one of the best presidents for most people in modern history, for things you can arguably say that he did that benefited American people, or his administration did, when it comes to the economy, medical, or rather more infrastructure wise, not so much the economy. I mean, to some degree, but the problem is a lot of the things, which is often the case, you don't really see the fruition of it until years after they have left office. As long as the incoming administration doesn't enact stuff to completely counter and ruin those things, which unfortunately will probably be the case. or they will either ruin it or they will take credit for it because it winds up happening under their watch, even though they had nothing to do with it. They'll allow it to go because they can see that it's making things look good, and it therefore it makes it look good under them because it happened under them, although they didn't implement it. That's what oftentimes happens. But I'm pretty sure we'll probably touch on at some point in here. There are a lot of problems that ultimately Biden will go down and be remembered for his legacy, which personally I think will ultimately be pretty bad and negative. So, anyways, let's go.
In the hands of a very few ultra-wealthy people. And the dangerous consequences if their abuse of power is left unchecked. Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy.
An oligarchy has
our basic rights and freedom,
been forming,
and a fair shot for everyone to get ahead. We see the consequences all across America, and we've seen it before. More than a century ago, but the American people stood up to the robber barons back then and busted the trusts. They didn't punish the wealthy. Just made the wealthy play by the rules everybody else had to. Workers want rights to earn their fair share. You know, they were dealt into the deal, and it helped put us on a path to building the largest middle class, the most prosperous century any nation in the world has ever seen. And we've got to do that again. In the last 4 years, that is exactly what we've done. People should be able to make as much as they can, but play by the same rules. Pay their fair share of taxes. So much is at stake. Right now, the existential threat of climate change has never been clearer. Just look across the country, from California to North Carolina. That's why I signed the most significant climate and clean energy law ever in the history of the world, and the rest of the world is trying to model it now. It's working, creating jobs and industries of the future. Now, we've proven we don't have to choose between protecting the environment and growing the economy. We're doing both. But powerful forces want to wield their unchecked influence to eliminate the steps we've taken to tackle the climate crisis, to serve their own interest for power and profit. We must not be bullied into sacrificing the future of our children and our grandchildren. We must keep pushing forward and push faster. There's no time to waste. It's also clear that American leadership in technology is an unparalleled source of innovation that can transform lives. We see the same dangers of the concentration of technology, power, and wealth. You know, his farewell address, President Eisenhower spoke of the dangers of the military-industrial complex. He warned us then about, and I quote, the potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power, end of quote. 6 decades later, I'm equally concerned about the potential rise of a tech-industrial complex that could pose real dangers for our country as well. Americans are being buried under an avalanche of misinformation and disinformation, enabling the abuse of power. The free press is crumbling. Editors are disappearing. Social media is giving up on fact-checking. The truth is smothered by lies told for power and for profit. We must hold the social platforms accountable to protect our children, our families, and our very democracy from the abuse of power. Meanwhile, artificial intelligence is the most consequential technology of our time, perhaps of all time.
Meanwhile, their administration's helping to ban TikTok at the moment. We're gonna get into that too, but whatever. He's making good points. There is a concern, just like it was like he spoke back in Eisenhower speaking on the industrial complex, that we have a tech complex now that is a problem. I mean, I've even argued before Eisenhower, in my opinion, should be where the Republican Party should kind of, to some degree, idolize as they do Reagan. I think Reagan was the worst one that they could have taken as like one of the best in history. I think Eisenhower for Republicans is one of the best in history, in my opinion. Although he had his faults, don't get me wrong, but overall, I think he was one of the better. Anyways, point being, he is stating an obvious truth that you have an oligarchy that has been forming. Actually, it's not just now beginning to form, it's been forming, but and arguably could already be said is here. But you have tech giants now all collaborating together. You see them being completely involved with Trump's administration, going in from Elon to now Bezos and Zucker. All of them are getting in and collaborating together, and it is something to be majorly concerned about. Now, am I completely sure that he actually really cares? I'm not sure, but he is. He did have the administration that went after antitrust and stuff, and fought against companies joining together, monopolizing and stuff like that. So he is, they did work towards that, and they were were breaking up companies or preventing companies from joining, which was a positive. It was a good thing. It's always a good thing for that to happen, but that's now potentially, I'm not sure how that's going to go and work going forward, but we're going to have to see. But he is making some good points here as far as that's concerned. He is right on that. But yeah, so let's go.
Nothing offers more profound possibilities and risk for our economy and our security, our society, for humanity. Artificial intelligence even has the potential to help us answer my call to end cancer as we know it. But unless safeguards are in place, AI could spawn new threats to our rights, our way of life, to our privacy, how we work, and how we protect our nation. We must make sure AI is safe and trustworthy.
That much is true.
And good for all humankind. In the age of AI, it's more important than ever that the people must govern. And as the land of liberty, America, not China, must lead the world in the development of AI. In the years ahead, it's going to be up to the president, the presidency, the Congress, the courts, the free press, and the American people to confront these powerful forces. We must reform the tax code, not by giving the biggest tax cuts to billionaires, but by making them begin to pay their fair share. We need to get dark money. That's that hidden funding behind too many campaigns contributions. We need to get it out of our politics. We need to enact an 18-year time and term, for the strongest ethics reforms for our Supreme Court. We need to ban members of Congress from trading stock while they're in the Congress. We need to amend the Constitution to make clear that no president is immune from crimes that he or she commits while in office. The president's power is not limited. It's not absolute, and it shouldn't be. And in a democracy, there's another danger.
I think he meant limitless.
The concentration of power and wealth. It erodes a sense of unity and common purpose. It causes distrust and division. Participating in our democracy becomes exhausting and even disillusioning. And people don't feel like they have a fair shot. We have to stay engaged in the process. I know it's frustrating. A fair shot is what makes America, America. Everyone's entitled to a fair shot, not a guarantee, but just a fair shot, an even playing field, going as far as your hard work and talent can take you. We can never lose that essential truth, remain who we are. I've always believed, And I've told other world leaders, America can be defined by one word: possibilities. Only in America do we believe anything is possible. Like a kid with a stutter from modest beginnings in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and Claremont, Delaware, sitting behind this desk in the Oval Office as President of the United States. That's the magic of America. It's all around us. Upstairs in the residence of the White House, I've walked by a painting of the Statue of Liberty I don't know how many times. In the painting, there are several workers climbing on the outstretched arm of the statue that holds the torch. It reminds me every day I pass it of the story and soul of our nation and the power of the American people. There's a story of a veteran. This is a veteran, the son of an immigrant, whose job was to climb that torch and polish the amber panes so rays of light could reach out as far as possible. He was known as the keeper of the flame. He once said of the Statue of Liberty, quote, speaks a silent universal language, one of hope that anyone who seeks and speaks freedom can understand. Yes, we sway back and forth to withstand the fury of the storm, to stand the test of time. A constant struggle, a short distance between peril and possibility. But what I believe is the America of our dreams is always closer than we think. And it's up to us to make our dreams come true. Let me close by stating my gratitude to so many people, to the members of my administration, as well as public service and first responders across the country and around the world. Thank you for stepping up to serve. To our service members and your families, it's been the highest honor of my life to lead you as Commander-in-Chief. And of course to Kamala and our incredible partner, the historic Vice President. She and Doug have become like family, and to me, family's everything. My deepest appreciation to our amazing First Lady who's with me in the Oval today, for our entire family. You're the love of my life and the life of my love. My eternal thanks to you, the American people.
That's an interesting way of putting that.
After 50 years of public service, I give you my word. I still believe in the idea for which this nation stands. A nation where the strengths of our institutions and the character of our people matter and must endure. Now it's your turn to stand guard. May you all be the keeper of the flame. May you keep the faith. I love America. You love it too. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you for this great honor.
Okay, so that was it. Only around about 18 minutes. It seems like from here it's just, I don't know why they held out so long on that, but whatever. All right, so that's pretty much it. I think he kept it safe. He, concentrating it along, concentrated along, the lines of the country and staying strong, going forward. He hit on his accomplishments and stuff, vaguely, but it was there. Kept it simple, stayed away from the controversial issues of his presidency, which was smart. Unfortunately, I think those complications are things that he's just ultimately not going to ever live down. And most of that's going to be around everything that has happened in the past year with Gaza and Israel and everybody else in the Middle East that has, and everything that's gone on. Ultimately, that stuff is just not going to. He's not going to ever get away from that. He spoke on it briefly at the very beginning about the ceasefire. And I honestly, I think that in my opinion, for most people, well, that would have set the tone, depending upon what your opinion of that situation is. That set the tone for how you read the rest of the speech, and or whether how much you cared about the rest of the speech. Um, if you're somebody who more or less supports what's happened over there, then this probably was fine. You probably didn't have really that much of a problem with it. If you don't support it though, then that would have carried your opinion and attitude of the whole rest of the speech. Honestly, um, I'm not completely sure you should have even said anything about it. But they did because they want to throw that credit out there. They want to make that like a closing statement on what everybody has had to face over the past year, and how you view this nation and how you view our presidency, our government, our military, our involvements, um, everything. It's everybody has been faced with internalizing that and having to ask, you know, and or deal with how we feel about that and how we view everything that we're involved in, really. Um, and not even and even not just what's going on in Gaza, but also, I mean, it really has been his whole presidency if you include Ukraine and Russia and that conflict. I mean, it's been going on almost his entire presidency. Uh, and that even Ukraine and Russia is extremely important, and things that that should have happened there didn't happen either. I mean, you can argue that should have already been resolved a long time ago, and we arguably prevented that. Same thing in Gaza. It could have already been handled apparently back in May, but the administration, Biden, Blinken, and everybody else involved in those negotiations and in the uh, agreement and allowance of weapons and money and everything else that has went to Israel um, during this period. Even if you just want to just say since May, uh, clearly has stated that they were not that concerned, and they were approving of it and accepting of it, or felt too weak to even do anything about it, whatever the case. Um, so that, in my opinion, ultimately, even though if you just look at this speech on the surface and take it strictly for what its framework is, it's a pretty good speech. I mean, it actually really is. But when you put this speech within the context of everything that him and his administration has allowed and has not gave enough interest in dealing with, even domestically, um, ultimately his legacy will not be this speech, in my opinion. His legacy will go down as being an administration that allowed a genocide, the most gruesome or the most just blatantly obvious genocide probably since World War II. And I mean, it's appalling. It's disappointing. It's frustrating. Especially even the fact that they completely brushed that off and act like that wasn't the case when clearly it was. So yeah, that's what I feel about the video. Like I said, within the framework of the speech is fine. It's good. He speaks the things that they talked about, the imagery um with the Statue of Liberty and the stories and all that kind of stuff. I mean, yeah, it's great. Good imagery, works well within the speech. Um and within itself is a good, like I said, it's a good speech. But when you put it into the context of the framework of his presidency and everything that's happened within it, it it doesn't hold up. I don't think. Um, and I'm not really sure that it will be remembered. Matter of fact, I'm almost positive it won't be remembered. I think people will remember more the administration coming in than this administration going out. And there were so many things that they could have done that could have really made that different. And if they had done those things, they probably wouldn't be going out. But, anyways, all right. That was that. That was the speech. That was the farewell. Farewell, Biden. It was good, but not that good. Right. Matter of fact, arguably, it was pretty damn bad. Unfortunately, what's coming in, I'm not sure is going to be any better. And arguably, it could be much worse. That's it for this video. More coming. Thank you very much. Peace. ClearTalk. Let me know what you think. I'm sorry. Let me know what you think in the comments. What you think of the speech. My opinion of the speech. Things we discussed. Let me know anything. However you feel about it. Let me know your opinion. And until next time, peace. ClearTalk. I'm out.